Why does this, HBO's big love that started in 2006 and ended in 2011, resemble this, the TLC show Sister Wives, which started in 2010. Long story short, art imitating life. You want the longer story, then stay for the whole video where
love should be multiplied, not divided.
Start with Bill. He is the patriarch, the priest holder, the one who runs the show, and his character is based on an amalgam of a ton of different polygamous men because this stuff isn't exactly uncommon. A lot of the things that you even saw on this show or that you saw on Sister Wives or that you hear on the news. So he's basically an amalgam of a bunch of dudes you probably don't want to hang out with. If you Google who this is based on, the family that's going to pop up are the Dargers, which were on Sister Wives with one of their most famous moments. Let me just show you that real quick so you know exactly who this guy is.
We haven't always been so supportive of women's rights. We haven't always been so supportive of black rights, of gay rights, of minority rights, of Hispanic and immigrant rights. And partly because we're so conservative as a community and cultures, and partly because we were really afraid and we thought we can't really expand. But I think we need to be inclusive. We need to acknowledge that people can disagree with us and still support us on our liberties, and we can disagree with other communities
and stand for their
liberties.
In classic fashion, Joe basically said on Sister Wives on a broadcast show is we care about other people's human rights now because we feel as though ours are being violated. However, the things that they compare to their journey to legalize polygamy and all of this stuff are not comparable. They've made choices. Some of the other things are not a choice. It's a very interesting thing. But this was during their big battle against they should have these rights, they should have that, whatever. But I'm getting ahead of myself because realistically, we're talking about their ideology circa 2004, 2005, 2006. When the show comes out, because there are some similarities, they decide that the show is actually about them. That tracks anyway. But the reason Big Love is as accurate as it is in certain things is because they did do their research and spoke to a lot of people. However, only read one article about the Dargers, but the Dargers really took that as a
this song is about me
moment because the producers did say we read one article about that family, but they noticed some similarities and decided the whole show was about them, even though it's clearly about several different groups. But basically there's a part where Barb, the first wife, we're going to talk about her in a minute, is going to get an award. They find out that she is a polygamist and she can't get the award and she is asked to withdraw, which did happen to the Darger family. Amongst many, 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 many other people, these stories are not unique. A really important dynamic I don't think I really pushed forward is this show is about a lot of different groups. The Dargers are actually not FLDS, they're AUB, which is the Apostolic United Brethren, and that is the same group that the people from Sister Wives were involved in. However, similar beliefs, similar problems. That brings us to Barb, the first wife, who had a calling to go into this, which the majority, I actually don't think I've ever spoken to any of these women who didn't say that they had a calling into it and they brought it to their husband and they decided together. Although I have noticed in some of those situations there was a lot of periphery pressure on that, not to mention she exhibits a lot of first wife behavior throughout the show. That brings us to the next character, Nicolette Grant, who is obviously supposed to be ex-FLDS, and I didn't mention what that actually meant, Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, in my other videos, because I do that thing where I'm like, I figure everybody knows, but you know what I mean. So she's clearly meant to be someone coming out of that community, we're going to get to that in just a second, who is very used to bleeding the beast.
She's in debt, up to her eyeballs.
What are you talking about?
She owes almost 60 grand.
Nikki gets herself in about 60 grand worth of debt, and when she calls her mom down in Juniper Creek, Short Creek, she says, oh my God, I'm in so much debt. And the mom responds, so are all of us. This is a thing, because bleeding the beast is basically taking out a ton of credit cards, charging them to the max, and then filing bankruptcy because they believe that this is the system that they need to take stuff from because it is taken from them. Now, that's a much more complicated concept than all that. If you'd like a video on that, it's not just credit cards. Like, dads don't go on birth certificates, so certain social programs are easier to take advantage of. Stuff like that. It's a whole thing. Allegedly, bleeding the beast was also something the Sister Wives were engaged in. If you look at their records, it does seem like that. 3 bankruptcies before the show, lots of stuff like that. Kody was only on 1 though because the others were filed as single women. It's a whole thing, right? But it's debatable. You can argue with me, whatever. Then we get to Roman Grant. Now, this is Nikki's dad. Who do you think he's supposed to be? Rulon Jeffs, Warren Jeffs' father, is who that character is based on, of course with some artistic liberties, because in life, Rulon never had to pay for his crimes. His son, Albie Grant, I think you can guess. You guess, right? Albie is supposed to be Warren and an amalgam, because you gotta remember, these like next in line for the profits get away with everything Warren did. The community knew what kind of person he was from when he was a kid, because he was always committing that sort of stuff, but he was the next in line, his mother's favorite, and the future prophet, so everyone covered for him. And the town that they live in, Juniper Creek, that's really not that far off, is Short Creek, which is actually Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona. Now, I chose this picture because I wanted to show you guys how much things are changing out there. This is in all the documentaries. I have pictures of this in person myself, and it said, "Pray and obey" on the side of it. It is no longer there, and the house that this was on is now a transitional living facility. Another dynamic of this character, and I'm telling you, these people did amazing research, considering this was researched and started filming before Warren Jeffs was even arrested, and most of this was public knowledge. So this character, Roman Grant, in Short Creek, runs something called the UEB. And the UEB Trust. And that's what he uses to kind of manipulate Bill, and he owns all these businesses outside of Juniper Creek and all of this stuff. Well, that's a very real dynamic. It's based in the UEP, the United Effort Plan, and the UEP Trust, which have gone back to the people who were hurt. That has been back. But that is the same exact thing. They owned all of Short Creek, and they own the company that made the O-rings for the Space Shuttle Challenger that actually failed. Seriously, that's a real thing. It was a company called Hydropac, who has since been renamed, and swear that they've divested out of that group. However, if you run down the business records, it doesn't really seem like it is, other than on the surface. But they did, in fact, make the O-rings on the Challenger that failed. And I know what you're saying. Well, they said that that was NASA's fault. It was, because these were the sole people they were contracting with to get those O-rings made. They weren't properly tested. The shuttle should have never gone up that day. There's a whole lot. Remember when I tell you their connections run high and deep? And people think, oh, well, who would be Lots of people. Lots of people. Then we get to what was their third wife, Margie.
When we got married, I was really 16.
The hardest part to believe about Marjorie's storyline is that she lied about her age so that she could join the family, when in reality there was a lot of things this guy was okay with, a lot of things that those guys are okay with, and I don't think you would have had to lie. Because that's one dynamic in the show. This is a much older dude with these very young women, and then Margie, right when she comes in, she gets all these kids dumped on her. She's supposed to be an adult overnight, and he doesn't even get her a car until like halfway through the first season. I mean, come on. Those are just some of the similarities. Like I said, this was really well researched. If you'd like to go into more, that's totally okay. I'm doing like a rewatch, even though I watched it back in the day, because this has been a special interest for a while. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you soon.